Absolutely. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation because this is a conversation that we have weekly in our office. So I think
Mm,
that's a good thing. It may be a bad thing that if we continue having the same conversation about a piece, we hadn't figured it out very quickly.
mm,
Um, but for the longest time, our law firm operated as a law firm and not as a business. And,
mm,
things changing outside these walls, we realized we need to change up what we're doing. We need to try and get the workflows in place, the processes in place, the policies and procedures in place. So, when there is turnover, because it is inevitable, we don't spend 3 months getting somebody back up to speed. We can kind of just plug and play. Um, but yeah, so we had issues on intake. So we've streamlined that process. We're using AI there as well. We've got processes in place for what I need to see on the front end of a lead to determine whether it's going to be one of those that sits on my desk. Whether do I have to look at medical records on this case? So we fixed that piece, and we've kind of fixed the post intake. I guess I'd call it the pre-litigation piece. What do we need to get in? What letters have to go out? What information do we have to have before we move to the next step, which may
mm,
be, trying to get a demand out and see if we can resolve this case. But those processes have been critical. And we've been able to say what we need across the spectrum of our lawyers. So now we don't have
mm,
one guy saying I want this, another girl saying I want this. Um, where we have not streamlined it is once we actually file a lawsuit and we get into that process of depositions and discovery, it really has fallen on the lawyer and what their tempo and paces in the case.
mm,
That's the next thing that we need to fix. And the screening process, once we determine this is a case that we want to look at, um, that and then accepting the case, I need to shrink that time somehow. AI has
mm,
been helpful. We talked about this a minute ago about, whether I can trust it, whether I need to dive into certain things. Those are probably the two areas: litigation, and then that lead to signing the case and to accepting the case, actually one we're going to take on,
mm,
is
mm,
critical. But I'll also say, I also think those are pretty, those are two critical areas where I hope, at least for the longevity of my career, we don't rely too much on AI
mm,
because there has to be a human judgment in there. How you litigate a case cannot be the same for every single case. It's got to be
mm,
different. All the facts are different. All the claims are different. And whether you take a case is a very unique judgment decision. You look at the client, look at the defendant, look at the facts, you look at the cost that it's going to take. What's the effect on the firm? What kind of manpower am I going to need on this case for the firm? And so I hope that doesn't fall into AI because then I lose control. So that's a
mm,
very
mm.
long answer to your question, but those are the two areas where I see us lacking efficiency
Yeah.
in processes. But there are a lot of areas where it has made a tremendous improvement to what we do every day.